let's take the checkpoint dynamic for a moment. It's not because I'm resistant to speak on the other issues, but I think it comes to the heart of the broader context. I remember reading, and you've probably read as well, headlines such as Israel humiliates pregnant women at checkpoints. Let me tell you what's behind that. So I had to stand a checkpoint in Hebron for about 3 or 4 months in alternate shifts. I wasn't there non-stop for 3 or 4 months, but there were human-sized metal detectors there. Now, the Israeli Defense Forces is extremely deferential to the religious sensibilities of the Muslim faith, which, by the way, are not that dissimilar to the Orthodox segments of the Jewish faith. So when women come to the checkpoint, if the alarm should sound, and incidentally, that metal detector is not dissimilar to what I walk through all the time in the airports of the United States. If the alarm should sound, denoting that there's something that may be contraband, the male soldiers are not allowed to physically frisk the female Palestinian, the Palestinian women. What they are allowed to do is they're allowed to ask them to draw close to their body their flowing garments, and if there should be any lamps or bumps that ought not to be there, we can ask them to sit at the side. They sit at the side in order to await a female soldier. Female soldiers are not in as ready supply in Hebron as are male soldiers, but it's out of the very deference that we show towards their religious sensibilities that they're waiting patiently at the side. That's one example. The other example is that, particularly with pregnant women, it came about that there was evidence that walking through these metal detectors could have a detrimental effect on the fetus, and so they're allowed to walk around. But there they are scanned by a handheld metal detector, and in the event of them setting off that alarm, again they're asked to sit at the side. But that's a million miles removed from the idea that we deliberately single out a pregnant lady in order to humiliate her, hold her up, delay her. Actually, we're trying to accord her the same dignity that we would wish to have ourselves and that we do require in airports today. The other thing that I want to say about this subject is everybody hears about humiliation. You invoked these terms, humiliation, difficulties, challenges, so on and so forth. Does anybody talk about the 3 years for which an Israeli boy and an Israeli girl must have their lives interrupted to face down God knows what in these very areas? Does anybody believe that that's a choice they elect or that they would wish to have? That's a life interrupted. That's an Israeli boy, an Israeli girl, standing at a checkpoint, opening the trunk of a car, having no idea what lays within. That's an Israeli boy or girl who would, I assure you, much rather be at college or much rather be traveling or pursuing those which their American brethren enjoy. But instead of that, they have to dedicate arguably the best 3 years of their lives to facing down these challenges and these threats on pain of death, potentially.